What's up, everyone? All right, so we've got a lot to go over today. This was day one of Trader Rehab. If you watched my recap yesterday, it was a doozy of a red day, went down $20,000. So biggest red day for me in over a year. And that followed a red day on Monday. So 2 max loss days back to back. All right, so if you recall in the recap, for those of you guys that watched it, I set out a game plan for today. And I talked about the process of recovering from this type of spiral. Now, the most important thing after you have a big loss, number one, especially when it's like two or three red days in a row, is you have to stop the bleeding. You cannot continue to have these big red days. Now, I think my record right now is 6 consecutive red days, which was brutal. And they weren't all max loss days, but they weren't great either. So I didn't want to break that record this year, and I hope I won't. So first things first, you got to stop the bleeding. So there's different ways to stop the bleeding. Number one is you just stop trading entirely, but you can only do that for so long. It's okay to take a day off or a week off if you really need to, just to get recentered, because you always come back, a little bit refreshed, kind of in a calmer state of mind. But I don't like to do that. When I fall off the horse, I like to get right back on. And sure, I'm still a little jittery from the fall, but I got to get right back on, because if I don't, then I start psyching myself out, and it just becomes bigger and bigger of a problem. So I got to get back on the horse, but I got to put the training wheels back on. So that's what I did. I put the training wheels on my account. So step one for the game plan following a spiral is to acknowledge that I'm in a heightened emotional state. All right, so in a heightened emotional state, got it, check. Step two is to apply restrictions to my account. So I did a good job with that. Put a max share size on my account of 5,000 shares. Now, that for me is less than, it's like a quarter of kind of my full size right now. Full size right now is like 20,000 shares. Occasionally I'll go higher, but 15 to 20 is pretty good size. So bring it all the way down to 5,000 shares. What that means is that, yes, was it possible that I was going to come in today and have a loss? Certainly that was possible, but with smaller share size, the loss would be more manageable, and then therefore the emotions that come following that loss would be smaller and not as likely to trigger another lapse of judgment where I became emotionally hijacked. Emotional hijack is the phrase for when you have a big loss and then all your judgment goes out the window and you start revenge trading. You get really aggressive and you do some really stupid things, and you can blow up your account in one day. Now, you can have a period of emotional hijack and lose 5,000. You can also have a period of emotional hijack and even make money, but it doesn't mean that it was a good thing. So number one, stop the bleeding. Did that by applying a restriction to my account. Well, step one was acknowledge I'm in a heightened emotional state. Step two, restriction. Step three, I need to practice mindfulness and meditation to reconnect with discipline. So you might notice I'm wearing a red shirt. You don't see this often. In fact, I usually only wear a red shirt following a big red day. And I am a little superstitious, and I'll say this. Over the weekend, my son, who's 3 years old, opened an umbrella in the house, and I walked away. I said, I can't be part of this. You're going to make mistakes, but I can't be part of this bad luck. I can't afford it. Now, then what happens on Monday and Tuesday? Big red days. Is that related? Most definitely. So I get a little superstitious, as do a lot of people who have a career that depends on a combination of skill and a little bit of good luck. Today I was lucky in the sense that we had a stock that went up 130%. Some days we won't have that, and there's nothing I can do, like that'll happen or it won't happen. So there's a bit of that kind of good fortune that comes. That's just a degree of your success that feels totally out of your control. So I wear the red as a reminder of this loss that I just experienced, and it helps me be mindful that today is a different day for me. It's a different day in the respect that I can't trade the way I would normally trade today. I have to be very thoughtful. I have to be very careful. I want to slowly rebuild. I cannot experience a big loss, because if I do, I go right back to the heightened emotional state of yesterday. My fuse is short, and it won't take much to, set me off. So what I decided to do last night for mindfulness and meditation, I did a 15-minute guided meditation, on YouTube. And then I went outside to check the fire because I'm making maple syrup this time of year. We've got all these maple trees, and so this time of year I like to make maple syrup. So I collect the sap during the day, I run the fire at night, and so on and so forth. So I was sitting out there. I did a meditation in front of the fire, and then I said, what I really need to focus on. If I look at the root of the problem yesterday, um, I would say well, maybe there's a couple of different things, but on Monday, I got very, very stubborn about the fact that I was red. And I did not want to finish the day red. I didn't want to break this consecutive green streak that I had going. And well, you see what happens. I ended up losing 10 grand because I didn't want to be down 900. So this was very silly. And I thought that what I ended up starting to do was I started to chase stocks. I started to get into a place of desperation. And so I wanted to remind myself to be patient, that it's okay to be red. It's okay to wait for the next green trade, even if that means waiting a whole day, to sit in the red 900 and just be patient and wait. So after I did the meditation, I sat outside and was looking up at the stars. And I said, I'm going to sit out here until I see a shooting star. I'm going to exercise some patience here. And so I sat, it'd been 5 minutes, and then it was like 10 minutes and 15 minutes. And I was like, all right, you know what? This isn't happening. So I went inside. But the thought was there. And, for whatever reason, I don't know, maybe it was too cloudy. I don't know. But I thought, I'm just going to try to, throughout my day today, I'm going to stop for a second and count to 5 and just say, focus on being patient. So this morning when I was kind of rushing to get over to my office, I said, no, I'm just going to stop. I'm going to count to 5 and be patient. And I've done that like 10 times throughout the day. So that was my mantra today, to be patient, to wait for something that looked good. And so then step 4 is building a cushion. Now I'm going to pull up the case study of today's trades. So today we had a stock, GXAI, that ended up going up over 100%. And like I said, this was a bit of good fortune because at 7 when I sat down, the scanner didn't look good. At 7 a.m., we had NCNA up 57%, but a 60-cent stock. No good. We had Vuri, but 27 million share float. No good. RGC, no volume. I don't know. I don't know what the deal was with that one. I didn't look at it earlier. LSF, too cheap, probably. Only up 30%. Skin, these ones. There was just nothing. So I was sitting down here at 7, no news. 7:30, no news. 8, no news. And I started thinking, oh, shoot. I was really excited to sit down today. I was excited for day 1 of Trader Rehab because I was excited to have, hopefully, a small green day and just to put a little space between me and earlier in the week. And so I knew that I was eager to take a trade, but I had to remind myself to be patient. Just wait. Just wait. And so I sat and I waited, and someone reminded me about my pre-trading checklist, which I often do. I did this a lot over the years. I'll say, did you eat well? Did you sleep well? And if you did, do you have a couple stocks on watch that you like? And if you do, what's the condition of the overall market? So that's your kind of pre-trading checklist. Now I ate well. I ate an apple this morning, which is fine for me. I've been doing intermittent fasting, but because I'm sick right now, I don't want to put myself under that extra stress. So I ate an apple. I didn't sleep well though, because I've been under the weather. So I was like, oh, I didn't sleep so well. And do I have any stocks on watch I like? I got nothing. What's the condition of the overall market? Monday and Tuesday, we didn't have a lot. Wasn't great. So I said, all right, probably the best thing for me today is to take it kind of slow. So, but then all of a sudden, GXAI pops up on my scanner. And this was at 8:30, just a little after 8:30. It pops up on my high day momentum scanner, and I see that there's news that had just come out at 8:30. Now, there's a couple things that I noticed about this stock pretty much immediately. Number one, I noticed the float. I see that the float is less than 1 million shares. So it's a very low float stock. I also noticed that it was a somewhat recent reverse split. I see that by looking at the daily, the reverse split. So I check. Oh, I thought I put a daily chart on here, but maybe I forgot to. So I'll show you. Let me pull it. I have the daily chart on another monitor. So daily chart on GXAI. I'll pull this up here. All right, so this is the daily chart. All right, so this is what we were looking. So you see today's a red candle, but that doesn't matter. It's still up over 100% on the day. So recent reverse split. I see it on the chart right there. And I did recognize, yeah, I'm familiar with the stock. It had this day here where it went big in February and then it sold off. It did bounce a couple times and then sold off. But these are also the type of stocks that, given that it's a former momentum stock, they can give us some nice moves. So when I saw it pop up, immediately I was interested. And at that point, I started getting dialed in on the shorter time frames, like the 10-second chart. I saw this pullback right here. And I decided on this one, as I had mentioned yesterday, that I was going to focus on my small account. So I said, I'm just going to break the ice on this with my small account. Stakes are low, a little lower maybe. And I can't take that much size in a small account anyways. So I bought it about $6.50 on this little dip right here. It ends up popping up to $7.50, which is great. So instantly I'm up $1 a share. I take a little profit. It goes up to $8. I take a little more profit. And at that point, I was like, this is a stock worth considering for my big account. So I jumped in with my big account right here at $8. It then goes up to $8.50. It goes up to $9. It consolidates. And each one of these consolidations gave us micro pullbacks to add for a move higher, adding for a move higher. It went here from 8 to 10. And on this move right here, in my big account, I made $4,000. Now, on my first trade, limited with small size, I bought 1,700 shares. So a small position. On my first trade, I made about $700. So is it a home run? Is it a huge win? No, but green nonetheless. So I was happy with that, just to put myself on the leaderboard and get myself into the green. I noticed my video's lagging just a smidge on the recording here. I think I had too many browsers open. I'll just close them. So anyways, so made about 700 on the first trade, and then that was from 8 up to about 9, and then add back in this area and got myself up 2,000 and then 2,500 and then up to 4,000 on the day. So I was like, good, this is really good, super impressive. Now the small account did well on that one too, really well. I'll recap that in a separate episode, not today, but in the next small account update. So it ends up going up here, had some resistance at $10, and you'll notice it hit 10 here, flat top, couldn't break, but it came up here, pulled back, and I took this trade right here. And again, I bought 1,500 shares, and the thing goes from 10 to 11, made $1,000. Boom, now I'm up 5,000 on the day. I was like, shoot, that was good. But here's the thing. It was at 11 for like a second and came right back down. It couldn't even hold over 1050. So it pulled back down. And on the 5-minute, I became a little concerned with this volume profile. Big green candle, but then look at these high volume red candles. So I was like, I don't know, this might be, I don't know if we're going to get more. But it started to kind of pull away here. And I knew the previous high was 11. So then I said, well, if it could break over 11, I'm interested. And it broke. I got a little scalp here. And on this one, I actually bought on a dip. Excuse me. And I made about $1,000. So now I'm up $6,000 on the day. And as it squeezed into the open, I got a couple more trades and I finished the day up $8,000. So the biggest winner was actually the second trade from 700, up, well, kind of that second little window, getting in, getting out, but getting myself up to 4,000. And then the next 4 trades were each about $1,000 winners. And so this ended up being a really solid recovery day, first day of Trader Rehab. I just impressed. I really didn't expect that. So I'm grateful for that. Now, I will say that had I not been in Trader Rehab, I probably would have taken that first position at 650 in my main account, and I might have bought I wouldn't have bought 5,000 shares because I don't use that increment. I probably would have bought 6,000 and maybe added to 9,000, maybe 10. So I probably, it would be probably safe to say that I made half, maybe even less of what I would have made had I not been in, this state of trader rehab. And this is the problem with having a big loss. There's then the opportunity cost of the additional days where now you're restricted. So my goal is to be in this restricted state for as little time as possible. So what I had said yesterday was that, all right, made about $150,000 in a few weeks here, gave back 30 off the top, so came down to about here. And obviously what I don't want to do is have a small green day and then another red day, and a small green day and another red day. That is stair stepping down. That's not acceptable. So instead, what I need to do is have, probably what I was thinking would be a small green day today, hopefully a small green day tomorrow, maybe a small red day, but small red days. And then just kind of hopefully make some steady progress until I've made back about half of the loss. Now I'm down 30,000. So half the loss is 15. All right. So I still have, today was much better than expected, but so now I basically made back 8 in one day. All right, so that's great, but I've still got to make back another 8 or so to get myself to sort of this point. And then once I'm at this point here, that's when I start taking the restrictions off because I'll feel like I have confidence to make the move higher. Now, today was obviously a great day. You could argue, look, Ross, take the restrictions back off right now. Like, you just had a great day. And in fact, the restrictions hurt you. They did. But the restrictions were designed to prevent snowball, prevent me from having a loss where I took 10,000 shares on the first trade and then lost another 10 grand. And now the emotions are just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I had to stop the bleeding. So once I had my first couple trades and I got myself in the green, I had the thought of like, should I scale up share size here? I just made 4,000. And I said, no, because right now it's so important that today is a green day. If I am up 8,000 and then I scale up and then lose 10, now, well, I'm back to stair stepping down. It's a second red day and a third red day in a row. I can't let that happen. So I need to be very cautious, very disciplined, and just continue to reduce size as the day goes on, which I did. And that's what allowed me to continue to make a little bit more, but without risking giving it all back. Because today was important for self-confidence and just clearing the slate. So now tomorrow, if I'm able to build my cushion in the first couple trades with smaller share size, could I start to increase a little bit? Maybe. But what I should probably do, given, Thursday, Friday, I should probably try just finish this week at smaller share size, go into the weekend sort of recharged, reset, feeling good, have a couple days, and then by Monday, I'm almost a week out from the sort of big loss. Now I'm going to be, I think I'll be feeling better. And by that time, I might have already made back half of the loss, and I will be at a point where I would normally take the restrictions off. I don't want to restrict myself too much from growing, and I want to keep those restrictions on and the training wheels for as little time as possible, but I don't want to take them off too soon because I've done that before. And then that's when, I have a couple of green days and then boom, I do something like that. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, now, right now I'm totally going in the wrong direction. So I can't afford a loss like this until my account is back up here. Once it's up there, I could afford that loss and I could handle it. But right now, I can't. So if I can't handle that loss, I can't take that risk. So I got to keep my risk pretty well in check. Again, if I have a really good day on Thursday and Friday and I got myself up 5,000 or 6,000, then I could take a little risk using that as my cushion with my stop at like only maybe $1,000 on the day. But I have to be very careful with that because it could be a slippery slope. So it's best to stick with the system, follow the rules that I laid out for myself as part of Trader Rehab. So now, interestingly today, SWIN, this Chinese stock, gave us some fireworks. Unfortunately, I saw some people lose on it. So, out of nowhere, it halts up once, twice, 3 times, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times in a row. It went from $22 a share all the way up to 70. But then it halted down once and twice, and people started buying the dip in these areas. looking for the move back up. But it didn't bounce. It went lower and lower and lower. And, remember, as we've said, and Danny reminded me of this a couple of weeks ago, why should it bounce? It's another one of these Chinese stocks that is, we just keep seeing this happen, and they don't bounce. So did it eventually bounce off the low? It did from 21 up to 32. So it's a 10-point bounce, but it was like a 100% retracement. It even went a little lower. It's lower than where it started. So when I saw it moving up, I was like, well, I'm not going to touch that. It went up on about 500,000 shares of volume, high volume at the top, and then all the way back down. So didn't touch it. Risk was just way too high. I really just want to stay focused on trading breaking news, pre-market, and then trading at the open based on how those stocks are performing, and avoid distractions like this until I build my cushion and I'm a little bit more in the driver's seat. So anyways, I need to get a drink of water. Hope you guys enjoyed this recap. Hit the thumbs up. I hope you subscribe to the channel, and I will see you for the next episode tomorrow. All right. Thanks as always for tuning in. A reminder that trading is risky. My results aren't typical, so manage your risk and take it slow.